Okay, so I have to get this perfectly straight in my head on how somebody else's microbes can affect you. And so I have to slow down my thought process because my brain goes so fast that I skip certain steps or I'm not clear on the process, the order of operations. And so when I talk about somebody, like how long does it take for a person to be exposed to something antibiotic? Like how much damage will happen when someone's exposed to an antibiotic? Well, if you're doing chemotherapy, cannabis, if you're doing radiation or doing any kind of liver detoxes or any kind of detoxes, you will sustain damage right away because you're intending to damage yourself by weaponizing an aggressive antibiotic against your body. Okay, so anyone that is actively taking antibiotics is doing damage to those specific organs that are being targeted because you're taking some kind of antibiotic for that organ or symptom. So a person doing something like that directly will have extensive damage to their body. And then the body will also build up defenses around that. And so then you have two types of antibodies in your body. You have antibiotics that are attacking you, and you also have your own body trying to fight against it. Okay? So then you switch it up to then when you're exposed to somebody. Hey, Christine, yes. So now you're exposed. Now you're the patient zero. And then now you have somebody in your vicinity who is now breathing in your defense systems. Okay, so now how long or how much damage will your body sustain from somebody else's B cells and T cells that are used as a defense against what they did, their antibiotic? Well, it all depends because here's the thing. When you have a weak immune system and you can't fight off somebody else's microbes, well, that specific microbe that has been weaponized against a certain food because it was used as an antibiotic against a specific organ, well, you're still getting all the different types of conflicting programming. You're getting the weapon, which is the antibiotic. You're getting the defense system from the person's DNA, as well as the person's DNA and their programming. So you're almost getting like a threefold type of thing. The weapon, the defense, and then the person's DNA. So now you house that in your body. Now that's part of the environment, okay? Now you have to realize that you live in a world full of people. You've been living this long, so you have enough of an immune system to fight against it, and you're eating enough food to keep you alive. But you know how people are right now. They're degrading, they're declining because of their exposure to so many toxins out there, which is people's defense systems. So then you have to realize that then so then you have to release that. So when your body gets exposed to it and you now get into mucus, then you got to release the mucus, properly. You have to then eat food. You have to deal with whatever symptoms, whatever attacks that are going to attack you, and then whatever your body has to do to develop a defense against that, because that's how you build your immune system, is by feeding it and then knowing that your body can differentiate between something attacking it and then something that is protecting it. But when you're not releasing, like through your poop and your pee, or you have a sluggish first and second lines of defense, then not only do you house the things that are attacking you, okay, but you're also housing all the different defense systems that could be attacking you, as well as other people's DNA. And so that's when that's really okay, I'm trying to find a way to explain this. So you have your low immune system, then you're going to house all that, and that's going to work against you. That's why people catch other people's diseases, and that's why that stuff gets passed down in families, because people don't release that programming. And so that's why kids suffer the same predispositions as their parents, because they never reprogram their body. So then you have to go and realign your system. You have to go and do a few saltwater flushes. But after you've done that, and let's say like right now, I've been exposed to so many different people's microbes. Well, I'll feel it. You've seen me. You hear me hacking away, right? I'm blowing my nose, hacking away. I'm going to sleep. I'm eating. And I'm just doing what I have to do to survive all the different microbial attacks. Okay? But if I kept taking antibiotics and things to stop the release and stop the symptoms, then I would be holding everybody's defense systems and everybody's things that are attacking, them, and then the bodybuilding defense system against it. And so then that causes the conflicting programming. If I were to want to stay in the game and not feel the symptoms and not feed my body correctly, then I'd be taking on all of those defenses that will be cannibalizing me. Those T cells and B cells, even though they're a defense against certain things, they also can cause autoimmune disorders and cancer. They actually cannibalize people. They're microphages and macrophages. Defense seems like it's a friendly thing, but too much defense, let's say you have so many different RPGs, which are rocket propelled grenades, and then they've been in your house for such a long time, you're not getting rid of them, and so you have a whole stockpile of them, and then something sets them all off and they all explode at once. Could you handle the shock waves? No, you couldn't. You'd have to keep getting rid of those RPGs as they come in. You have to keep getting rid of them in your house. And that's the same thing as far as your immune system. When you're taking on other people's RPGs and they're wreaking havoc, and then you're trying to stay in the game by taking your antibiotics and starving yourself and not wanting to feel symptoms, then you're stockpiling everybody's RPGs in your community, and that's going to cannibalize you. Like you're carrying the weight of the world in your lymphatic system. And so it's a deprogramming. When you look at defense isn't always a good thing. Too much defense will destroy you. Not enough defense will destroy you. And so you constantly have to be releasing and regenerating, but not doing the J juice all the time either. I haven't done J juice at all since a couple months back when I was going through some, I would say maybe 3 or 4 months ago, like back in last fall. I only did 2 shots of J juice when I was dealing with something, and that was it. And so what am I doing when I'm dealing with other people's microbes? I'm eating, I'm releasing through the poop and the pee and all that stuff. Sometimes I'll have rashes that come up, and I just deal with the symptoms. Okay, but that's what I mean by what viruses are. Viruses are a programming. They're not bad and they're not good. They're just a programming. You have to actually assimilate to everybody's different programming. So when someone is declining and they're releasing all of everything inside their lymphatic system, you're taking it on, taking some aspects of the programming and releasing the rest. And then your body assimilates, and you have your own B cell and T cell memories that'll be enough to protect you, but not too much to cannibalize you. And so when you're balanced and when you don't really feel any symptoms. But when you are exposed to someone who is releasing an infection, or there's something new in the environment, then you have to go and level up to that. That's what I'm saying when you're going, and this is something I have to really get in my head on how to talk about this, because you're like, well, if I'm taking on someone else's defenses, then I'm immunized, right? I'm getting the same defenses they're getting. Not necessarily, because they're attacking themselves. They're attacking themselves with antibiotics. They're taking radiation, chemotherapy. They're taking walnut oil and coconut oil together. They're taking the supplements and things that are so like the hormone replacement therapy. And do you want that in your system? Even though even the body in their system built a defense around it, trying to save it from being destroyed by all the supplements and the antibiotics and the chemotherapy and all the other stuff. But they still, but it doesn't mean that you. It doesn't mean that you need to take that on, and it's a good thing. I don't know. This is a lot to, and I'll find a way to say it in an easier way. I'm struggling with it now. Okay, so but I need to struggle with it and turn it over my head and how to explain it, because this taking on someone else's defenses is not necessarily a good thing. It's not a good thing at all. But you still have to assimilate to it. But a defense system, taking on someone else's defense system is it's okay for a very short amount of time. But that's the thing, is when people are dying, their bodies are declining and they're releasing DNA, they're releasing their life force. And that's, so when people are having a lot of sex and there's an STD called AIDS, okay? Yeah, that is being released in the population, and people are giving their DNA to each other. So then what's the future going to be like? That's the thing. What's the future going to be like? Well, the future can be like people stay home more than not. But why couldn't they? What happened before the COVID? Why people, well, we had the cold and the flu season. People still died from cancer disease and chronic illness and heart attacks. It wasn't like that didn't happen before the COVID. Of course it happened. But now the algorithms have gotten so much more intense that all the immune systems are activating, and then people are releasing so much more, and they're doing more therapies, that now people are going to be even more under attack and have to assimilate to all the different DNA that's circulating in the environment. Before, the environment didn't have, it had DNA in it, but it was something that we kind of assimilated to. I assimilated for the most part to the cold and flus. For the most part, it wasn't that bad. Maybe I get a little sniffly here, but I didn't have like the major flu. I think I had the major flu twice, when I went to Florida and when I went to Ohio the first time. And then back in 2001, I had a major flu where I had all the things happen. But I never really had the flu. So I had a strong immune system to assimilate to the cold and flu season before COVID. But this COVID is even more aggressive. And with all the therapies are even more aggressive. And so then now when people are going through their infections and then their reactions to the infections with the therapies, that's adding more to the viral soup, which is more of an attack on your body that you have to build a defense against, and then also keep feeding your body. That's why now staying home more than not, and knowing that it's going to be aggressive out there and you can't afford to be cured and not feel anything. Because if you don't feel anything, then you don't know how aggressive it is until you have a diagnosable condition that then sometimes people don't have what it takes to come back from that because it's too painful. Okay? And so that's the thing is and I'm going to make this easier in my head. I have to make this easier in my head so I could just say it and it's not like I'm struggling with it. But yeah, taking on somebody else's defenses from their antibiotics is you are taking on three components. You're taking on the antibiotic that's attacking them purposely because they did it purposely. You're taking on their defense system, their B cells and T cells, and you're taking on aspects of their DNA. Which means that they could have other types of issues, antigen and other types of issues that you're now inheriting and you're taking on. And then if a weak immune system will take it on and then it'll control a person's immune system. And that person will have issues because they won't know how to assimilate and they won't know how to respond to it. Or then your own immune system will be so strong they'll fight against it, but then you still have to release the excess B cells and T cells because they will cannibalize you too. And so I think I have it finally organized because that way you're not thinking that defense is like a good thing. No. Taking on someone else's defense system is not a good thing because it is an antigen to you that your body has to build an immunity against. Okay? And so I'll get this figured out. But anyways, all right, talk to you later, bye.